Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 78 entitled Matrix, Different Reality or Different Realities. Well, this is the 8th chapter or theme for which we're gonna see more things related to technologies and virtual reality and artificial intelligence. Well, first of all, I would like to share with you, I had the chance to visit 66 countries in the world, okay, so 1/3 of the planet. And so during a long time, I took the plane regularly, okay. Despite that, okay, I used to take the plane maybe 1,000 of times. I don't know, I didn't count, but maybe hundreds and hundreds. And I'm scared of it. And you know why? Because when I observe the plane, I said to myself, how come it's possible that an enormous, okay, let's say hair dryer can lift, okay, so many tons of metal and people and luggage and so on, and over kilometers and kilometers. And nobody doubt about that. Nobody doubt in this technology. Well, you know, that's interesting to question about the modernity and our modern world. Is this real? If you would ask to Leonardo da Vinci or whoever from the 50th century or 60th century, so 500 years or even 200 years, coming back to our world, you would think that we are crazy, nuts, or we are gods, divine. Well, for example, we fly over hundreds and hundreds of kilometers through metallic birds, okay? You take from Paris to Shanghai, okay? You take 12 hours. Before, with the Silk Road, it was something like 9 or 12 months. With the sea, it was something like between 3 till 6 months. When we talk with a small box, okay, like this, and then we can talk to someone at the other part of the planet. So before it was the pigeon, okay, taking months, and it was not so precise, okay. We can see images from and scenes from the past in real time through your camera and so on. You would think that we are magicians, okay. We have access in real time the different information and news almost in single second. We have access to a non-physical world where there are information clouds, okay, internet, for which we are connected. You would think that it's not rational, or you would not even understand the concept. We have dozens and dozens of clothes, garments. You would think that we are really rich, like a king, because in the past you only have a unique, let's say, a costume, maximum 2, and that's it, okay? Nowadays, in hyper-consumption, in our materialistic world and hyper-consumption, we have dozens and dozens, okay? We have access to hot, warm, and coldness whenever we want in our home, okay, with air conditioning or with heater and so on, okay? We can have a bath or shower every day, okay? In the past, for example, Louis the 14th, yeah, the 14th only had one bath in his entire life. We don't die anymore because of a tooth ache, okay? In the past it was the case. We can see inside the body, you know, with radiography. We can see small scale like ants, okay? You wouldn't understand that, for example. The infant mortality, okay, kid mortality is very low compared to the past. Nowadays in the worldwide is 2.8. It's too much still, but 2.8% in Europe, for example, in France is 0.3%. In the past, it was 25% at this 300 years ago. And at this period, 500 years ago, it was 1/3, 33%. That's crazy. And only half of them were reaching 18 years. Okay, so we can consider that it's evolved. And he wouldn't understand this epoch. I invite you to think about the technology in general. For the prowess, a GPS, for example, it's just crazy. Is this real? The fact that in a satellite there is an access and a communication with your car, for which the information orients you on the real-time reparametering, okay, eventually the road and so on. It's just crazy. Internet is just crazy. The fact to have access to a virtual library for which you can have thousands, billions and billions and billions of books. That's just amazing. The phone, you can talk to anybody. Skype, you can see someone and talk at the same time as well. A car, just a car. The fact to avoid horse, it's faster and so on, is safer and so on. Printing, a print, okay, just to avoid to rewrite, okay, before, and that's why Gutenberg, who is the German scientist, allowed the first print, allowed let's say the spread of knowledge in general, because before you are obliged to copy the text. Just an elevator, to have lived in the in Shanghai, most of the building are reaching 30 floor. Okay, so if you don't have something to lift, it's quite hard. Electricity in general, okay, after 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. in winter, this is not the end. Huh? You don't go to bed. You can still have a second day. Heating or let's say air conditioning and so on. This is when you live in an extreme part of the world. For example, in Shanghai or Beijing is very hot during the summer and cold during the winter. If you don't have both, it is extremely difficult to survive. Same for the first pioneer coming from Europe, especially from France, in Britain, when they went to Canada, in Quebec. It was minus 30 and they only have fireplace. So it was very, very difficult. Imagine there is a earthquake, okay, and you lose everything. Everything, all the technology disappear. So those who say, I don't like people, I can live alone, I would love to be on a remote island, actually, and you have to start everything from scratch, even a table, even a mirror, even a tool, basic tool. You cannot do it by your own, okay? So how would you do to tame, for example, fire? Okay, how would you do to have access to, let's say, drinking water? How would you do to build a warm and safe, let's say, home or household, so-called, okay, habitat, okay, or to avoid and to go to toilets, for example, and to take it out this dirty water, okay? How would you heal yourself, okay? Even if you know certain plants, you don't know all of them, okay? You will use a painkiller, you don't know, you don't have. Probably with the lack of hygiene, you will have bacteria and so on, so a lot of diarrhea, a lot of stomach aches and so on, so on. It's okay, so you would have no brushing teeth, so you could have rotten teeth, you could die about that, and so on. So you know, in France, which was the first country in the world for the French Revolution in 1780, so 200 years almost, the time, let's say the life expectancy was between 25 and 28 years old. Imagine, it's crazy. So Einstein say, I'm sit on the shoulders of a giant, because for him, he was capitalizing, he was using the fact he had some breakthroughs and some discovery was thanks to the world heritage from the past of other people. And that's the point. What is progress? Who is progress? Who is responsible of this? Is this Mr. Progress? It is Mr. System? It is, let's say, the society, Madame Society? This is the technology, our connected world? Is there a responsible person for that? Is this real? Who runs that? Okay, the designer, the engineer, the workers. This is a kind of supply chain. Everybody is a component of it and has, let's say, a role for that. So it's only through the wall, the combination of this, that everything is possible. Well, the system can be perceived as a freewheeling Frankenstein for the best and for the worst, okay? And we will see under different perspectives. So what is progress? Concretely, for me, my definition is individual and a collective improvements of living conditions, okay? Respectful of nature and mankind in a common interest without alienating it. It means that, I mean, it's on my paper, it's my definition, it should be like this, but unfortunately it's not the case. With a lot of cupidity so far, it's not necessarily the case, and with a kind of race for, let's say, new thing for just the prouesse, which is another story. Okay, so maybe you will think you're saying that I'm doing the cults of progress, but actually no, science without consciousness is the ruin of the soul. It means that it's like double-edged knife. It's up to the user and the using, and not according to the technology. But technology brings a kind of comfort, even if it seems to be unreal, sometimes or surrealist for a certain extreme. It brings some comfort, and for example, the life expectancy, like also the right not no longer to suffer. It's not a detail. The fact to have access to anesthesia, some vaccine for which in the past people were dying for, like pandemia, like pest and so on, like many. Let's say for us with vaccine there is no impact except sometimes in Africa, but and then the other, I mean, the black point could be, and especially in Anglo-Saxon countries, the excess of the business of medicine, because you know, I'm gonna tell you. In China, I remember it was based most in the private clinics, is really Anglo-Saxon way. It's a kind of market. If you have an insurance, you have like a business card. Okay, I remember I just arrived there. It was 2010, something like this, and I had just a problem, a toothache. And it was almost nothing. Just to analyze this, it was $200. Okay, then they listed me like a menu, and I had for $17,000, changing everything with a crown, I was the king of the world, okay? And then I say, okay, fuck off. I mean, I didn't say like this. Okay, I quit. I just paid that, and no way, because I was perceived that it was just focusing on the fact that I was reimbursed. I went to my, let's say, from childhood dentist in France. He said, no problem, you only have this, and he just did it. It cost me $50, and it was done. And for 13 years now, more, I don't have anything. Okay, so it was just, okay, because I was reimbursed. It was a business. And I know two a German doctor and a French doctor there, they quit, they lay down because they were disgusted, because they had pressure from the pharmaceutical groups and also from the employees, for which they had a commission if they were pushing the consumer. And for them, the ethics was the fact that they were not pushing. You know, so it's really, it can be scaring, this notion of access into the notion of technology for medicine. But let's say, you know, when I was talking about the fact that 200 years ago, there is the French Revolution. This is the first people to be free, okay, out of the kingdom. The first one, leading an example, okay, leading so much that it was a threat for Europe. So Austrian, Prussian, and so on, they all came to compress that and to avoid that, okay, this pest, okay, expanding. So Napoleon Bonaparte, okay, try to push them back. But he became megaloman, he became a dictator, and then went back to Russia and so on, because he was a megaloman. Okay, so from the kingdom, France had a dictator. And also he put a mess in Europe, especially in Prussia, for which during half a century they kept in mind. That's why there was the first war in 1870 and 71 between France and Germany, thereby the First World War, which was a disaster for Europe, destroying and on human part and so on. The Second World War, like a revenge and so on. And by 45, we rebuilt Europe, completely destroyed. Then the 30 years of glorious period, okay, 50 to 80s, okay, for which we consume, this is a peaceful moment, and people, they just want to have a freezer and so on, all this kind of thing, a car and so on, and they're just enjoying life like this. But it's the beginning of our consumption, okay? And let's say by 2001, this is the beginning of the globalization, even if it's before, of course, but China is entering a WTO, the World Trade Organization, and then it's the beginning during 20 years of hyperconsumption, hyperproduction, and the disaster that we lived, because we can consider, I invite you to write the book I wrote, Corona Apocalypse, Save Our Soul, translated in English, of course, and for which I try to depict and do a parallel of the society, saying that the virus was the virus of globalization, okay? Because in the past, when the world is not exchanging, it would have been located, okay? And local also. But anyway, and just to show that it has been progressive, okay? The liberalism between 80s and 90s with Reagan, with Thatcher, the liberalism, the privatization of health, education, everything, and for which the world were tending to what we are now. And that's why also the COVID brought the fact that, let's say, there was an awareness, and in parallel of that, reinforcing the virtuality of the world. So our world is real or not? Real world or virtual world? Question mark. The real world would be, I said to you, the map is not the territory. Okay, so the real world would be the territory, and the virtual world would be the map, that's to say the representation of the world. But nowadays, we can consider that the virtual world, let's say, is most important than the real world, okay? So, does it make sense? Question mark. Is this not surrealist? Jean Baudrillard, who the French philosopher who influenced Matrix, by the way, we will talk in the future about that, talk about the desert of reality, okay? We are overwhelmed, bombarded by a lot of information for which people are completely lost, okay? We are completely passive and managed by codes, by screens, by signs, by symbols, and beyond physical and tangible reality, like enjoying walking to the forest, going to mountain, swimming in the sea, playing with kids, smelling flowers, pleasure of cooking, making love, watching the fireplace and observing the snow falling and so on. The little happiness like this. We are always overwhelmed with pop-ups and so on. Kind of addiction with the mobile, the internet, the social media and so on. So we have been trapped by this technology in a certain extent. We can see that the world is tending to be, let's say, for this, the virtual world surpassed the real world. There are virtual war now. For example, in Azerbaijan and Armenia, Karabakh, or in Ukraine recently with drones. Okay, but the problem is that there are real victims as well of the drones. It's not drones against drones, okay? It's the population as well. When you see some videos in Iraq, when people are laughing and they are just shooting people and people are dying. It's like they are playing video games. Okay, so dating platform. Okay, I can understand that some people can use that, and I know a lot of people, they even get married thanks to that. Okay, but you know, the Tinder and this kind of thing, or people are scrolling. It's like zapping. It's like you know, when you are in a restaurant and you have sushi and it's turning, and you take it. Oh no, I throw away. And it's like zapping. It's is this real? This, you know, it's like even the simulation for sex. A lot of women are doing simulation, and a lot of men, they think they need to have a certain performance, like in the porn movies. Okay, it's kind of illusion. All this is an illusion. Anyway, I invite you to watch the video 59 and 60, not 60, about love and sex, and I'm trying to explain all of this. Some people use and choose their place of vacation for taking the best picture of Instagram. Is this real? I mean, some people are doing that, and apparently a lot of them. Like it was like 25%, 30% of young generation consider unhappy and depressed because of the comparison with Instagram. They think, oh, he's popular, he has a wonderful life, but most of the time it's fake. It's just pretension. Okay, and then the metaverse we're gonna create in the future, or avatar shaping and so on with the image we want. It will be completely an illusion. It will be some people will probably disappointed when they will meet in real. There is a kind of substitution from the simulation to reality. The map became more important than the territory. And the simple example is the following. For example, if I go to the border and I say I'm Aurélien Milot, the policeman would say, probably, I don't believe you. Do you have something to prove it? But I say to you, I am Aurélien Milot. No, I need to see your passport, ID card, and so on, if I don't have it. So, okay, I show you. Okay, now I believe you. So you believe more in my piece of paper, my passport, than when I say orally. So it means that my passport is more justifying my identity than myself orally. So my passport is more important than Aurélien Milot himself. You see? So that's so funny. You know, there is my father is a great doctor and professor in artificial intelligence. He had one of the biggest top 5 biggest laboratory for this since my childhood. Was working in human-machine relationship, for example, that the car driving without a passenger and so on. But he reproached nowadays that there is a lack of morality and ethics. Okay, and for him it's like the quest of the prowess. It's like, you know, you launch a series of cars and you say to people, okay, you can go till, I don't know, 150 kilometers, but there is no brakes. Okay, if you die, it's like this. Huh? It seems to be funny when I say that, but watch the Dilemma, the series on Netflix, and you will see that the creators of the social networks, they say literally that they created a kind of Frankenstein in free will for which they cannot master it and they cannot manage it anymore. So it's like they launched like this and now they cannot control it. This is kind of crazy. So I really think we need, and recently Musk and a lot of people said that we need to take it easy and we need to wait for 6 months for the development of artificial intelligence. Okay, so you know, it's what I explained with the Cambridge Analytica or story killer. You know, there's companies who influence with algorithm and so on, with real impact, with genocide, with manipulation of the elections, with let's say some riots and so on. This is and some murders as well. So this is kind of very scary. So are we going to enter in a virtual world? We can consider we are already in a virtual world. Who is writing letters nowadays, physical letter? Nobody. Or postcard? Nobody. We send emails, that's it. Who is printing photos? We just keep in our cameras, that's it. Okay, so
imagine you ask and you say to someone 25 years ago, okay, you will see that in the future we will have an invisible digital cloud for which we will spend hours and hours every day. We will share our life, our profile, our opinion, our ideas, a lot of information, and even the companies, their market shares, and they will be richer than some countries. Nobody would have believed you. Okay, so RE in a virtual world, kind of, when you see, for example, the virtual currency, bitcoins and so on, is this real or not? Not really. It's based on trust. Okay, but even the physical money, what we call fiat currency, physical money, it's only 5 to 7% of reality. What does it mean? What is the rest? Numbers on a screen. That's it. When I do a transfer from a company, €5, it costs me €20. When I transferred 200,000 euros, it costs me €20. It's the same, okay? But there is no service beyond that. There is no one who did something. There is a writing. No. It's automatic. There is absolutely no work beyond that. So it's completely unreal. So when I say that, it's very scary. That's why when there was the Greek crisis, when people wanted to go to the bank and getting the money back, there was a rationalization. They were limited per day to withdraw some money. Why? Because there was no money there. There is only 5 to 7%. So if everybody rushed tomorrow to the bank saying, I want my money back, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And it would be a crash, literally a crash. So everything is based on an illusion. Okay, so is this real? I mean, this is our real world, according to the finance, I mean the currency, but is this real? It's sure real. Well, is the financial system is real? But it's based on exponential growth in a sustainable economy. Is this real or not? Do you think this tree will reach the sky and will continue to grow up? No, there is limits. Do you increase the portion of your plate every day? No. Do you increase the number of meals every month per day? No. Otherwise, you're going to be obese, okay? Too fat, and you're going to be not healthy anymore. Secondly, our system, economical system, financial system, is based on growth, which is stimulated by debt. And debt, to make it short, if the total richness of the world is 100%, okay, on a basis of 100%, the debt is 350. To make it short, you earn, your salary is $1,000 and you spend every month $3,500. It's unreal. It's not, I mean, it's surrealistic, completely. So who's gonna reimburse? And it is reimbursed in a potential of growth, which is completely crazy. It's a pure illusion. Imagine that the two richest countries in the world are the most in debt, okay? And for example, Japan, the third country in the world, the debt is 260%. This is crazy. African countries, the poorest country in the world, are also in debt. So the richest are in debt towards who? Everybody is in debt towards everybody, and also towards the central bank as well. Okay, so, and who gonna reimburse? And towards who? Martians, ET, of course, is gonna be a problem. For example, France is in debt is 113. It means that every single citizen, they have to pay every year 45,000 euros per year. It means much more than what they earn, of course, on average. So, is this real? This? No. It's not real. And even the stock market, for example, is just an illusion, because it's just the fact, for example, the CAC 40. CAC 40 is for France, the stock market for France. There's only 40 companies, the biggest company in France. DAX is in Germany, is 30 companies. Okay, but in France, there is not only 40 companies. There are 4.1 million of companies. Okay, so it's just a sample of 0.0001%. Nothing. Okay, and just because people trust that they have, let's say, capital, so they have shareholders, they are shareholders, they have shares of the company, so they can they have a potential to resell it, but it's completely based on illusion, because if there is a bad word of mouth, it can collapse for no reason. Okay, so is this real? Not really. Okay, so you know, BlackRock, the president is Larry Flint, actually is richer than France plus not only France plus Great Britain, I mean United Kingdom plus Germany. All together, they are richer. They are richer than, I mean, the company is richer than United States. Imagine, it's completely crazy. What are they? They are just investor and advisor. Okay, so they are consultants. They are doing consulting plus investors. Through what? They have a software, a simulation. The name is Aladdin, and they gather a lot, all the information of the web, taken from Facebook, from everything, and then they compile that and they analyze that and they can predict, forecast things. But the problem is that they forecast, they can orient it with doing consulting. Okay, fair enough, this. But the fact they gonna invest in parallel, there is a interest conflict. And the fact that a company is so big that if the company and the big boss just want to press on the button to destroy everything, he can do it tomorrow. So it's too dangerous. But even the fact, the influencers like Elon Musk and so on, when he say, Twitter is excellent, the action, the stock action, I mean, is increasing. And on the other end, when he say is shit, so this is too much power for only a single person and or for just a company. So it's really, really scary. Anyway, is this real that some 71 countries from the last, in between 75 and 2006, 71 countries went to bankrupt. A country went to bankrupt, like Venezuela, Russia, Argentina, Iceland, Venezuela, Greece, and Spain, and Lebanon, and so on and so forth. So, you know, the COVID, the pandemic brought this. The fact that, let's say, revelation, in a certain extent, I invite you really to read the book Apocalypse, Corona Apocalypse, Save Our Soul. It's for free, by the way. You can download it from my website. So it's it's allowed a kind of awakening, okay? And in parallel of that, it reinforced this virtuality. For example, I have online courses through Udemy or Skillshare and so on. I also, virtuality, I have an office, my company, I have two companies, one in Indonesia and another one in Shanghai. In Shanghai, I didn't go for 3 years and a half. I never met my general manager, for example, just virtually, just on phone, Skype and so on, Zoom, whatever. But so, and I can manage at distance. So it's completely virtual. I give course for MBA students and so on, the quite prestigious business school in the world, in China, in France and so on, or fashion school. And actually, I didn't go physically for more than 3 years and a half. Okay, so it's all this is virtual, and it's let's say it's reinforced this part. Okay, so a lot of people, we have now virtual friends. I mean, we never met them, for example, and we can talk, for example, also to keep or to maintain a relationship at distance. For example, one of my two best friends, I mean, my best friends are not living where I'm living. There in Turkey, but also when I live in Indonesia. One of my best friends is living in France. One of my best friends is living in Bangladesh, and another one in Shanghai. So we discuss regularly, and I keep this relationship, but and forever. But this is virtual when we are just thinking about that. Well, you know, it's like in the extreme. Some people, they stay at home. Okay, and because they can shop online, they can work online, they can have access to social life through the social networks, and they will travel with virtual glasses in the future. So the thing is can be like in the movie. We will talk in the next video, because it is very important. one player already, something like this, movie from Steven Spielberg, for which is the metaverse at the extreme, and people have very bad life, and then they are always trying to leak, to run away from their reality in the virtual world. Well, in the next video, we'll continue this part of technology, but more artificial intelligence with ChatGPT, with the metaverse, with the transposition of consciousness, and all this project of transhumanism and so on. Well, I hope it will help you to shape the master key to open up the doors of the field of consciousness, of love, of whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome, and to the dome, and to home. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.